I am not the candidate of Black America, although I am black and proud. I am not the candidate of the women's movement of this country, although I am a woman and I'm equally proud of that. I am not the candidate of any political bosses or fat cats or special interests. I stand here now without endorsements from many big-name politicians or celebrities or any other kind of prop. I do not intend to offer to you the tired and glib cliches which for too long have been an accepted part of our political life. I am the candidate of the people of America.
Peace, Africans. That beautiful black woman right there is Shirley Chisholm, the first black congresswoman and the first black person, period, to run for president on a major party ticket. She got her foot in the door back in the 60s and 70s so that people like former President Barack Obama and current Vice President Kamala Harris could get all the way in. In this quick video, I'm going to give you an overview of her life and all her great accomplishments. Let's go. Shirley Anita St. Hill was born November 30th, 1924 in Brooklyn, New York. Her father, Charles St. Hill, was born in British Guyana and moved to New York and worked as a laborer in factories. He also was a big supporter of Marcus Garvey, exposing her to black liberation movements from a young age. Her mother, Ruby, was born in Barbados and worked in New York as a seamstress and domestic worker. Her parents had a hard time balancing work life and taking care of children, so in 1929, Shirley and her two sisters went to Barbados to live with their grandmother. She stayed there for the next 5 years on her grandparents' farm and attended a strict British-style one-room schoolhouse that she attributed for a lot of her later success. She also said, "Granny gave me strength, dignity, and love. I learned from an early age that I was somebody. I didn't need the Black Revolution to teach me that." Sadly, because of the American capitalist system, so many of us Africans end up being separated from our so-called extended families, and it's a great detriment to us. We are naturally tuned to grow up around all of our cousins and aunties and grandparents, and for some of us like Shirley, the only reason we're even able to connect with those outside family members is because our nuclear family simply isn't able to pay the bills and tend the children all at once. The saying "it takes a village" is extremely true, and I just think how much better would our life be if we actually were connected to our village. She went to the girls' high school in Bed-Stuy, New York, and she excelled academically. She was offered free tuition at Vassar and Oberlin College, but her family still couldn't afford room and board, so she stayed at home and went to Brooklyn College. While in college, she joined Delta Sigma Theta Fraternity Incorporated, as well as the Harriet Tubman Society. Many people told her she would be great in politics, but she was more focused on education. She received a bachelor's in arts and sociology in 1946, also with a minor in Spanish, which she was fluent in and would speak a lot during her rallies. After getting her bachelor's, she worked at the Mount Calvary Child Care Center in Harlem, while also earning her master's in childhood education from Columbia University. She also married Conrad Chisholm, a Jamaican immigrant, in 1949. She worked at a few different child care centers as well as the New York City Bureau of Child Welfare through the 50s and quickly rose through the ranks in the field. She also got involved in politics at the time as a member of the Bed-Stuy Political League, as well as volunteering for the Brooklyn Democratic Club and the League of Women Voters. Every space she got in, she made sure to make a change. For example, she was able to introduce many more African Americans into politics by recruiting them to the New York Democratic Clubs. In 1960, she joined the Unity Democratic Club, who helped Thomas R. Jones become Brooklyn's second black assemblyman. In 1964, when Jones decided not to run for re-election, Ms. Chisholm went for his spot, and the same UDC that she worked for was reluctant to support her because of her gender. Even without their support, she decided to keep pushing and appeal directly to women who could really understand her oppression, and she won the 1964 election by a landslide. She served in the New York State Assembly as only the second black woman member for only 3 years between 1965 and 1968, but as early as May 1965, she was already being honored for her work. She fought against English literacy tests and was also successful in getting more black representation in New York politics, as well as extending unemployment benefits and helping disadvantaged children get access to college education. In '68, she ran for the House of Representatives representing Bed-Stuy on her famous slogan of "Unbought and Unbossed." She won in an upset victory against James Farmer, a co-founder of the Congress of Racial Equality, who was publicly outspoken against a woman being elected. At this point, she became the first black woman to be elected to the U.S. Congress. She was outcasted in her workplace and mostly ignored, but even from the start, she was outspoken. At her very first speech in Congress, she was outspoken against the Vietnam War. And even though she was representing Bed-Stuy, a mostly urban area, she was assigned to the Agricultural Committee, something that had nothing to do with her area. She used the position to expand the food stamp program, as well as helping to create the WIC program. After helping Unbossed win House Majority Leader, he appointed her to the Education and Labor Committee, where she belonged at. For the beginning of her career, she only hired women, especially black women, opening doors for plenty of families who would have never been employed by the men of Congress. In 1971, she was a founding member of the Congressional Black Caucus, as well as the National Women's Political Caucus. Her and Bella Abzug introduced a bill to provide federal funds for child care services. Nixon vetoed it because he thought it would undermine the institution of the family. On January 25, 1972, Ms. Chisholm announced that she was running for president and called for a bloodless revolution. This made her the first African to run for a major party nomination. She was also the first woman to run for the Democratic Party. Because of her race and gender, she actually said that she got more discrimination based on her gender. People didn't even look at her as a serious candidate. Most of the Democratic Party and many black men within the Democratic Party and outside pretty much ignored her and looked at her as just a symbol of times to hopefully come one day. Only 2 members of the same Congressional Black Caucus that she helped to found actually endorsed her, and she said, "They think I'm trying to take power from them. The black man must step forward, but that doesn't mean the black woman must step back." In the wise words of Malcolm X, the black woman is the most disrespected person in America, and it's our job as black men to uplift and encourage and also protect black women instead of being in competition with them. Although many people in the political world wasn't on her side, she received the endorsement and support from the Black Panther Party and Huey P. Newton. And her husband Conrad was also there the whole time. He even served as her official bodyguard for a few months. She had a hard time getting ballot access and also access to debates. Her campaign only spent $300,000 compared to Nixon, the winner, who spent $67 million. She received over 430,000 voters in the primaries, or about 2.7%. She said, "My greatest achievement is that I had the audacity and the nerve to make a bid for the presidency of the United States of America." Exemplifying her unwavering humanism, she actually suspended her campaign and visited well-known racist George Wallace in the hospital after he got shot and paralyzed. Many people were outraged with her about this, but she felt like she might have been able to teach him something and help him regain his humanity. It actually did turn out good in the end when Wallace ended up changing a lot of his views and even helped her to gain Southern voters to expand the minimum wage to domestic workers. Even after losing her presidential bid, she was still in Congress and making sure progress was made in social services like education and healthcare, as well as expanding many protections for women, especially poor women. She was extremely against the Vietnam War as well as the draft, and she was a vocal leader for the Equal Rights Amendment. She didn't only fight for women's rights within male-dominated spaces, but she also fought to make sure that white women organizations like the feminists put more focus on lower-class black women and not just middle-class white women. She retired from politics in 1982 and planned on going back into education as a college president in New York, but she was barred from a lot of those jobs from former political opponents. She ended up working at Mount Holyoke College as well as teaching at Spelman College in the spring of 1985. She gave speeches and lectures at over 150 colleges and helped found the National Congress of Black Women as well as the African American Women for Reproductive Freedom. She retired and moved to Florida in 1991 and lived the rest of her life there. In 1993, Clinton nominated her as the U.S. ambassador to Jamaica, but because of health implications, she didn't take the job. In 1993, she also was inducted to the National Women's Hall of Fame, and she transitioned on January 1st, 2005 at 80 years old. But her legacy and her impact stretched to people like former President Barack Obama and current Vice President Kamala Harris. They might not be as unbought and unbossed as Ms. Chisholm was. We have to teach our youth about our history because we know the white-dominated schools never will. My mission is to raise the consciousness of billions of black people, and if you want to help me on that journey, leave a like and subscribe. If you have any video suggestions, drop them in the comments. Peace.